And now, he's a journalist and anchor on the Sunday edition of CNN's Inside Politics with Manu Raju. Please welcome journalist, lifelong Cubs fan, and Chicagoland native, Manu Raju.
Manu Raju threw out the first pitch at Wrigley Field. I have the video. I've also been to Cubs games with this guy, and there are photos of us at Wrigley Field, at the White House. And there are photos of us at the White House when the Cubs went to see President Obama. So we have to talk. And once we started, we're not stopping at baseball. Take me back to that moment. You're standing on the mound at Wrigley Field. What's going through your head?
Look, a lot of adrenaline was flowing through me, and I had a ton of friends coming into town. People I've known my whole life. Friend coming in from LA. My brother came in from LA. My friend from Arkansas. I have friends from all around the Chicago area. So we'd have been a group of a couple dozen people who came to the game to witness this moment. Not to mention the entire Washington press corps and all my colleagues at CNN. And who were aware that this was happening. So a lot was riding on it. I had one thing in my mind: don't skip it in front of home plate. That was it. That was it. I didn't care if it was a strike or a ball, if it was slow, if it was fast. Do not skip it over home plate. So I completed mission number one. So that was great. I wanted to tip my hat to the crowd because I've always wanted to walk on Wrigley Field and do that. So it was a really amazing moment.
It looked like you were a little bit high and outside to the right. You didn't skip it. What did you throw?
Think it was definitely high. It might have landed in the strike zone, Darren. So
do you want to
get a ruling on that?
We might need to get a ruling. What did you throw there? Was that didn't look like a fastball?
Well, it wasn't. It was just a straight ball. It was nothing. I was holding the two hands. It was just trying to get it go straight. It didn't really matter to me. And because I practiced a little bit ahead of time. Not a ton. I went out. One of my colleagues, one of my friends who lives down the street from me, we went out, and I used to coach our kids' baseball team together for years. And so we went out to the high school around the corner threw from 60 feet away. And then you forget how far 60 feet is. It does. It's like, wow, you're standing on the mound. It feels a little different. And then so we did that one evening. And then the night before I went out to Chicago, my daughter and I went in our backyard. And I threw a tennis ball to her. She's only 10. So not the same as a baseball, but at least we practiced the distance. So it was just to me. She's got a good arm. And just to me, it was get the ball over home plate, get it. Oh, do not do. People are sending me videos of Anthony Fauci. I don't know if you remember that. He threw it to the left and skipped 4 times. Or Travis Kelce, his moment, also not good. He threw it straight into the ground. Even Michael Jordan at Wrigley Field airmailed it over Sammy Sosa's head back in, I think it was 1998 or so. So so there was a lot of opportunity for him to screw up. So if the worst it was that it was a slow pitch and it was a little high, I can survive that.
And I recognize that number 23 that was on the back of your jersey. Please tell my listeners, what did that signify to you? Why did you wear Rhino's jersey there?
Yeah, that bobblehead that you have right there says it all. I mean, I'm a lifelong Cubs fan, of course. I'm a lifelong Ryan Sandberg fan, of course. I think that, I was very sad when he passed away because he was my childhood hero. The first real Cubs team that I remember was the 89 Cubs. I mean, I remember the 84 Cubs. That team was great. But I was younger then. I was 4 at that time. So I remember that team from Cubs lore and the Sandberg game, of course, and the collapse in the playoffs against the Padres. But then 89 Cubs, I was in 3rd grade at the time. And I watched every game that summer. The boys of Zimmer, Ryan Sandberg at second base, Mark Grace at first base, Sean Dunston at center, Sean Dunston at shortstop, Jerome Walton at center field. Andre Dawson, Mitch Williams, like, that was such a good team. And so I really felt, and Harry Carey, watching Harry Carey, Steve Stone every day. So, Sandberg really means something to me. And, and I love him. I have a signed Sandberg jersey over my shoulder right here in my basement, as you can see there, perhaps, next to my Badger gear and other Bears gear. And then they gave me, the Cubs did, a jersey for throwing the first pitch, and they asked me the number I wanted, the name I wanted. So I chose my name, but also number 23. So, so it's, yeah, maybe retired, but not. Maybe I'm unretiring number 23 for this jersey.
That's awesome. Yeah, Will Clark and Kevin Mitchell, forevermore, are enemies and evil people in my mind, thanks to
I
1989.
I agree, man. I agree. Mark Grace had an amazing series that series too. He was so good. The only person who played better was Will Clark, which is very aggravating.
So I've seen pictures of you doing batting practice at Wrigley Field during the Democratic National Convention back in 2024. I think I also saw your name was on the famous, Wrigley banner. I think I actually have a photograph of that you sent me or texted me once to taunt me in a previous life. What's your history with that ballpark? Did you sneak in when you were in high school, running away from the Hinsdale Oasis? What was going on there, man?
We went all the time to Cubs games. I basically, when I was a kid, my dad would take us we grew up in the western suburbs of Chicago. So, we'd go to games when we could. We'd go to at least, catch half a dozen, 8 games a year. I remember the first game I went to was maybe I was 5 or 6 against the Phillies. It was an early season game, and it went from very warm to extremely cold, and like dropped like 30 degrees. And my dad had to buy us sweatshirts. I remember back then. I remember I had some the one of the best memories I ever had was in high school. Of course, the May 6th, 1998. And do you know that date, Darren?
I was in Japan, but that sounds like Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire battling it out, right?
Close. Remember May, so it was the beginning of the season. Say,
Kerry Wood.
that
My
was
bad. My bad.
Gary
Yes.
Wood. There it is. The Gary Wood game. I was a senior in high school, second semester. We decided not to attend class that day. It was a weekday afternoon game. So me and about 6 of my buddies, we had our Ferris Bueller day off day, going to Wrigley in a wild day that on various different levels. But it culminated in the 20 strikeout Kerry Wood game, the most dominant pitching performance ever. Should have been a no hitter.
Manu,
Kevin Ory, they called that error. They called it a hit when it should have been an error at third base.
you're a
But it was,
journalist. Can you fact check something for me? I mean,
yeah.
27 million people do say that they were at that game. Was it really 27 million people?
It wasn't, actually wasn't a super full house. Like I was sitting in the right field bleachers, and we were sitting right in the front row. Derek Bell was the right fielder for the Astros there, and we were heckling the crap out of him all game long. I mean, he hated us, and we used to be really. I mean, I'm a loud fan, but back then I was a very, very loud fan. I was especially with my buddies. And Derek Bell also committed the last strikeout too against Kerry Wood in that game with his amazing curveball in that game. Yeah, that was just spectacular. So that goes down in is one of the best top 5 sports moments I've been to at any sporting event in my life. Maybe even higher than that.
So my readers here are going to get to see a picture of me and you at a Nationals Cubs game, and I think we were down low. And it's possible that some of the some of the Nationals players and some of the fans do not like us for what we both. And I'm a pretty loud fan too. But let me ask you: when you're on the field throwing out that pitch, what does it mean for you to be on the field, given everything else you've done in Chicago lore? Put this into perspective for me,
I
man.
mean, to say it was a childhood dream is an understatement. I mean, actually, I really wanted to play for the Cubs, so so I guess this is the closest thing to it. I don't know. It's the one thing that I've really come to appreciate is how many people have seen it or heard about it, reached out. Like I've been flooded with messages all day, yesterday and today, just because I think people view it as really just a special thing to have that to be able to do this. And I was touched and that they even thought about offering me to do it, and I'm glad that they know how rabid of a fan I am. I'm not your casual sports fan. I'm a fanatic. So, um, and the Cubs and are a part of my identity. It'll be in my obituary one day about being a diehard Cubs fan and Bears fan, Wisconsin Badger. You name it. Those are parts of me. So to be able to do something like that for something that means as a part of me, been a part of me for my entire life. It means a lot.
So, Manu Raju, to close out the Wrigley Field segment, you just left the North Side. You're my Hinsdale Oasis correspondent here. The Cubs are 38-35 as of this recording, third place in the National League Central. You threw out the first pitch, but they lost the damn game. The White Sox, man, are leading their division. They got a better record than the Cubs right now. What the heck is going on the North Side?
Yeah, it's really stunning. What the White Sox have been so bad for so long, and we were so good, and we just are not like last night. We were just leaving runners on scoring position. We had opportunities last night, and that's been the struggle of this team all season. So streaky, and then just two steps forward, three steps back. It's just go win almost 9 games in a row, then win 10 games in a row, then lose 10 games in a row. Suddenly looks like, oh, we beat the Pirates and we beat the Rockies and the Giants, and maybe we're turning things around. And then last night happens. Even in the PCA game we hit for the cycle, we almost lost that game too. We had to come back in the ninth inning and a walk to win the game. So like we're barely getting by, and it's this team looked like we were going to be a team to beat in the National League just a few weeks ago. Now it's like, we've just struggled to get a wild card berth. It's very, very frustrating. So, one thing I was talking about the 2016 team, Darren. You'll appreciate this. So yesterday I did this Chicago Sports Radio, The Score, which I of course grew up listening to, and Pat Hughes, the infamous Cubs radio broadcaster, who of course Hall of Famer. He took he did his scorecard for the Game 7 of the World Series. They gave me a replica of his scorecard, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and it has all of his notes, everything he was saying. He's and all the players, scratch outs, things he's remembered, the positions that they're in, and things that one of the things that he says in here. 5 teams have come back to win after trailing 3 games to 1. The sixth then being the Cubs.
Wow, are there any tier marks on that thing?
What's that?
Are there any tier marks on that thing?
No, it wasn't none. But it's really cool to see. This is going to be framed, and this is going up somewhere in this basement of my Chicago sports memorabilia.
From the Manu Man Cave. Let's take off our Cubs hats for a moment and let's be reporters, or at least talk about journalism. This is the Love Journalism Show. We are two former colleagues kind of geeking out here about baseball, but you and I have run these halls of Washington together for a very long time. You and I actually pretty much started almost at the exact same time in Washington. In 2001, I want to say 2002, you showed up and you're covering
2002.
2002 Inside EPA. What did you learn at Inside Washington Publications?
Yeah, I learned about Washington. I mean, I had no interest in Washington. I had no interest in government. I barely knew how government functioned. I certainly didn't really have a good sense of how to report, any sense how to report out here, especially. I went to school at the University of Wisconsin. I covered sports. I was a sports reporter, which I did it because as you can, we were just talking about, I'm a huge sports fan. So in college, that's how I kind of got my interest in journalism. Even though I got a business degree, I actually got a business degree. I was only doing the sports reporting for my student paper on the side for fun, to meet people and to get free tickets to Wisconsin and go to the buffet before the Badger football games when all my friends were still hungover from the night before. I could go and get some free food.
How are the Courage at a Wisconsin football game?
That's what's that? Oh,
How
amazing,
are the Kurds in the
amazing.
press box at a Wisconsin football game? They're probably
Oh,
awesome,
yeah,
right?
amazing, amazing, amazing. So, you have to take advantage of that. So then, like, I got more involved, and by the time I graduated, I said, "You know what? I wanna go do this whole journalism thing," but I didn't wanna do sports because I love sports too much. It was too hard for me to be a sports reporter and then come home and wanna watch a game and stuff. Like, you wanna use sports for me as an escape. So, I wanted news and then sports. So, I wasn't gonna move to Wa I had no interest in moving to Washington until my parents moved from the Chicago area when I was in college to the DC area where my dad changed jobs. So I decided, you know what, I guess I'll leave Madison. I graduated and I'll go look for work and start my career and look for work in Washington while I live in my parents' basement. So which I that's the only reason why I went out there. And the one place that hired me was Inside Washington Publishers for their newsletter, Inside EPA. And actually, the first newsletter I reported for was a now defunct publication called Chemical Policy Report. No,
Respect,
sorry,
man. Yeah.
Chemical Policy Alert, I'm sorry. And it was all about the hazardous chemicals being stored at the chemical industry. You remember Tosca, the law Tosca, Darren, you were the expert in Tosca. Um, and how to reduce the toxicity of chemicals. I'd read the Federal Register every single day, write about proposed rulemakings, comments about the rulemakings, and call sources in the agency, try to understand how they're doing this stuff. And then also like to actually be able to understand it and write it in a way that I could understand and explain to people in a pretty sophisticated audience too. Obviously, these are lobbyists, lawyers, insiders who are following this stuff, so you have to know it. So it really teaches you how to report, how to learn the issues, how to write clearly, and like, I really use that as an education in Washington, with education in journalism, and like coming up to the Hill, interviewing senators, asking them. Jim Inhofe, the late Jim Inhofe, grabbing him. As you did Barbara Boxer, asking her about the clean skies legislation, right? Clean skies.
Clear
Uh,
skies.
clear,
There
clear
was a
skies.
clean
Clear,
skies too. There was all of
what
them.
was that? Was it clear skies or clean skies? Clear skies.
There were both, but it was clear skies was the one that Bush was pushing. Yeah.
Oh, clear skies is the one that Bush. Okay, that's right. Clear skies. And oh yeah, that was a big deal. That was a big bill that
Was
never
Obama
quite passed.
and Hillary Clinton are the no votes that killed that thing in committee in the
Yeah.
2005 Senate EPW markup for my listeners that I'm sure remember that.
They were riveted by that markup. So yeah, I mean, look, but it was such a good education. And from there, I took that to another publication, Congressional Quarterly, where I covered energy and environmental issues for them. That was during the Goracle years of Inconvenient Truth, and that was
McCain
another
Lieberman.
education. Was that?
McCain Lieberman. Remember that one?
Oh yeah, McCain Lieberman, of course. That was a big deal, big bill. Also never became law. And so so I learned a ton about covering Congress through there. That was how I covered the Hill, and then from there, the Hill newspaper had a position covering politics, a Senate reporter position. That was during the McCain. Running for president, Hillary Obama running for president. So a lot of great stories in the Senate at that time, a lot of great characters to cover. And then Politico about a year and a half came, and I was there for about 7 years covering the Senate, pretty much doing the same thing and really developing my expertise covering the Hill, and then started doing more TV appearances, and then a job opened up. Dana Bastian, CNN, went to go cover Trump on the campaign trail. They needed a Hill reporter, and it worked out for me to be at CNN. And now I've been there for almost 11 years. So it's crazy how one sort of decision leads to the other, and you learn from one set of experiences to build on the next set of experiences. And it's a lot of persistence, risk taking, and a lot of getting turned down. I got turned down a ton for jobs early in my career.
What I mean, you know the ins and outs of that building better than anybody that I've ever seen covering it. What should my listeners and readers know about covering Congress that they don't already know?
Well, it's really about understanding how people, their paths, how they move, where they walk, how they would get from their office to the Senate floor to vote, from their office to the House for to vote. Will they go to a committee hearing, and that is an obscure committee hearing in the Cannon Office building or in the Russell building? Because there are 3 hearings that are going on the same day. Will they skip them all? And having a roadmap on what you're going to do, because there are 535 members. There are a handful that are the most important, of course, the leadership, the speaker, but there are also key people you need to get. And the hard thing for me is I got to get people on camera. You can only shoot people in certain places on camera. And also, you need to be there around when they're voting because everybody's around the chambers when they're voting. So I have to make strategic decisions all day long about I'm going to be here to get this person here because they may be walking from their office to go here. And I got to ask him or her X, Y, and Z and be ready for there. And then as soon as I get him on this, I got to go run over to get the speaker because the speaker's gonna be walking from his office to his house set how to open the house floor at 2 p.m. He always does that on Monday afternoon. So I got to get over there by Monday at 2. So like it's a constant game of me understanding, okay, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I need to get her on camera about something that Democrats are doing. She typically walks from her outside, from her office up the steps to the steps to vote. So I can wait by the steps and grab her. So I got, so those are the that you learn people's habits. People are creatures of habit. Learn their habits. If they want to avoid you, where are they going to go to avoid you, and what you need to ask when you see them? Because you got that split moment to ask them a question to get them to make news. If you don't, you miss out. So you really have to be ready.
How many steps do you get in a day? Average.
I don't. It's a good question. I get asked this question a lot, and I don't. Believe it or not, I don't track it that closely. I have apps that do that, but I just don't look at it. But I look at mileage. I do well on a busy day. I'll walk like 7, 8 miles in the capital. It's like boom, 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 back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it can get pretty high. So that's why you can't do this forever because it's a physically demanding job.
Oh my God, you're giving me flashbacks. You're giving me so many flashbacks. But please, uh,
You're gonna have PTSD
oh, I,
soon.
I
So.
have it every day, but it's nice to be on the outside. Give me your 2026 outlook. What's the rest of this year going to be like for you?
Midterms, all midterms. I mean, like obviously the capital has its crises that come up every couple weeks these days. But overall, it's all about the race for the House. It's all about the race for the Senate. Both are going to be incredibly close. The Democrats are probably favored, and they're still favored to take the House, but it's not by no means a guarantee. The Republicans are still favored to keep the Senate, no means a guarantee there. And there are a lot of huge races that could determine control of both chambers. So my job is to like get inside those races, talk to those candidates, get them on record, break news about what's going on there. So that's really going to be my predominant focus as we head into the fall.
And you're probably going to be traveling from, I imagine, Maine to California and Alaska with interesting races from coast to coast, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've already gone to Maine. I did his piece on Maine and Graham Plattner. And this was before everything blew up with him.
Mhm.
Interviewed with Janet Mills when she was a candidate there. And then I gone to Texas twice for the Texas race. I've been to Ohio. I've been to Michigan. And I got some other trips I'm trying to plan. The challenge too, Darren, is that a lot of these candidates, believe it or not, don't want to see me. So they won't
What?
tell me what they're doing. Yeah, believe it or not. So I have to get them to at least tell me where they're going to be.
Mhm.
And that actually is half the job is just getting them to cooperate.
Which is a good segue to your career and some more about what you've learned. And I'm going to put on another Cubs hat for this segment that we're going to call the
Uh,
career. You came up through Politico. It's where we worked. Gosh, I mean, in my first experience working with you, once I finally started to work with you as a colleague, we were competitors for so long. The first real story me and you worked together on was the John Kerry story when, man, did
oh,
he hate,
yeah.
oh, he hated me so bad after I wrote that one. I blamed you. Um, and if you're watching this show, it's Manu who no, I'm just kidding. I mean, it was a great story. It was so important. It was a story about how John Kerry, for our listeners, was really pissing off everybody in the world while trying to get the votes to pass the cap and trade climate bill that President Obama was looking to be one of his big initiatives there in term one. And Kerry pushed everybody to no end.
and,
Uh,
and by pissing off everyone, meaning Democrats, he was pissing off. That's who he was
Correct.
pissing off. Yes,
He was
exactly.
pissing off Democrats by just being a person who was pushing them and pushing them to vote yes. And
And
anyway,
he effectively pushed them away.
exactly. So what did Politico teach you that you do carry with you everywhere? Because it did a lot to me, and I'm sure it did a lot to you.
I think it really helped me sharpen my writing a lot. Like, I know it made me a better reporter. I think each place has, and a lot of that is experience and just being around other being around other reporters and also being around uh, the members and getting like making mistakes. Like you ask questions, you realize I should have asked this. That could have made news, or like I should, got to be. So like you learn from all that stuff over the years. But I think in particular, really helped me sharpen my writing, sharpen my news judgment. Not just over, and oftentimes making sure that your headlines don't go too far, because that was always an issue that we had to deal with quite a bit, fighting with our editors at Politico. They want to take the lead or headline back in that era, especially way further than what the news was, and you had to make sure it was reined in. And those exercises, I think, were helpful in news judgment but you also, I credit them where they want you to take your reporting as far as you can take it. And so I think that helps you become a better reporter, a better writer, sharper thinker, and just always got to be careful on never go saying more than what you actually know.
And on that front, lessons from covering politics, and I'm sure Politico trains you one way, but now at this stage of your life, what do you know now that you wish you'd known when you got here all bright-eyed and bushy in the early 2000s?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Like even like what would I tell myself? I think it's to just always be careful on what people are telling you. Um, and their motivations in telling you stuff on background, especially because now I do know that and I understand it. But like, at the time it was, if someone's trying to be, to spin you one way and not to take their spin. And so that's one thing to make sure. And I tell young journalists all the time too, is that like don't be friends with your sources. Like they are not your friends. You can be friendly with them, and I'm friendly with lots of sources, but like they're not your friends. Like they're your. It's better to be feared than loved in this business, as I think Jim Van Dyke said to me once, and I totally agree with them. So, because because that's you got to be straight with them. You should be direct with your sources, and tell them that's how you build a good relationship. I'm writing this. I'm going to say this. And you have 24 hours to respond, and I'll listen to your argument and we'll reflect your view. I'll keep an open mind on what you're saying. And that builds a trusting relationship, being straight, not being, oh, I want to be best friends with you. So I think that's a good thing for young journalists to keep in mind.
Has journalism loved you back?
At times. I mean, like this being one of the times when I got to go to Wrigley Field because of journalism. And so that, yeah, so in that case, yes. But the hours and the demands are punishing. And because the thing about journalism is it always wants more. No matter how much you give, it wants more and more and more. So what have you done for me lately, business?
That's for sure. Manu, before I let you go, we're going to do our current event segment. I'm putting you on the spot here. I am not doing well. You consume the news at such a rapid pace. Go easy on me, please, with your current events question.
Okay. What country is Donald Trump in right now?
It's at the G7. I'm looking around, but that's not because I'm cheating. France. France. I'm going with
Yes,
France.
you got it.
All right. Finally, Samuelson back in the game. He's down 1-3. I appreciate the question, Manu Raju. Let's take it out with fly the W, go Cubs, go. Appreciate your
All
time.
right.
And we'll see you again on the Love
Yeah,
Journal.
you got it, man. This is fun.
That's
Appreciate it.
the way it
Thanks,
is.
Sharon.